we understand even the word block or that idea of gathering. And people are off in the corner having their political conversation. People are sneaking something over here.
And that's why I love this idea of being part of a fraternity. You know, there is this need and want to be surrounded by my people and to have a community. But usually in Canada, it's kind of presented in some sort of social cause or issue. So all of a sudden you're an activist as opposed to just being an artist who needs community.
I do understand that a lot of us are being asked to talk so much about things that are deep and heavy and real. You also have to play advocate and be all these other things where you don't just get to focus on your craft.
You know what the funny thing is about that? I was in the airport and a magazine had Viola Davis in her glory. And then she has a quote that says, "My whole life has been a protest." And I feel that way as an artist. Like I could be hired to do a job and it could be to play a part that could be played by anyone. And I get lost in the work and I perform it. Well, looks like it turned out to be a good time after all. And it's not until I engage with the audience afterwards or I engage with my coworkers that they remind me how brave I am to be doing the work that everybody else has done. I do work very hard towards making sure that I choose parts that make me feel good as a person of color, because I think as a person of color, you're also sometimes invited to play parts that are demeaning to you and your people.
Yeah. And isn't it fascinating that that's actually, you know, from the early sort of talks of entering this world from acting and film is about bring your whole self. You are enough.
Yes.
All these sort of statements. And then we get into this business that's supposed to represent that.
Like even when I've worked with younger actors and they'll be reading a play, a classical play, and I love to stop and be like, what do you think this character looks like? And I remember there's this Black girl that I was working with and she had her braids, like she had her braids and she looked really cute. And she's like, yeah, she's blonde haired, she's blue eyed, she's da 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 da. And I was like, that's why it's harder for you to even get into the part because you don't see yourself there. And why should you?
It is amazing. I've had these conversations with executives when I've been given, you know, the note about being aware of the audience. So this audience you're talking about, when you imagine it, does it include someone that looks like my mother or someone that looks like me, my sister, my brothers? With all the data and all the things that are being collected, like that consciousness needs to change.
This is the thing that drives me absolutely mad. We're always telling the same stories. Like it's always British Egyptians or like British Greeks or British this. And after a while, you do saturate. Like luckily, it's told in a way that it does hit the universal. So people will always love the heroes of those stories. But like, what would it be like to introduce an audience to Mansa Musa, like the richest African man in history, if there is a collective memory of us as human beings? There's an entire section that we know exists, but constantly go, oh, let's not go there because then we have to deal with our family problems as human beings. In Canada, I always like to say we're always going to a cottage or something. And the equivalent of opening that up even slightly would be to start with that group or family going to the cottage, but saying, you know why we're going to the cottage? Caravana. Do you know, like... Just even having that, even acknowledging that little bit, just I think will spice up the story a little bit. I would love to see Marie Angelique. I would love to see old Montreal and a Portuguese speaking Black woman and the entanglement that she deals with there. And whether the fire was accidental or not, like I would love to see all of those things and know that that's Canadian history. Like we're constant. It's so weird because sometimes when I think about Canadian art, the more I think about it and the deeper I delve into it, it starts to read like propaganda. It starts to read like the Underground Railroad ended here, the end. We all really love hockey, the end. Everybody says thank you and and like, that's it. I was working on Anne and the woman was like, Black people were around back then? And I was like,
wow.
You know, and how could you even begin to have that conversation because we don't talk about it? And a lot of Canadians also, as Black Lives Matter was happening, a lot of them are like, we don't have racism. Your narrative is based on your life experience, what other white people tell you that experience is like, and what you see on TV. or what you see in film. We need to start telling stories about our community and our culture, and not what we wish our culture to be, not what we want to do in terms of propaganda, in terms of what our culture is. We need to actually recognize who lives here and what it means to live here and how to tell those stories.
The social and economic disparities for Black creators has been going on. And being in America now, America's got its issues, but will I have a better opportunity to be understood in a certain way in America?
The conversation that's being had there is very different than the one that we're having here. And it's funny that Canadians look over and go, whoa, that place is burning down. But I look over there and I go, they're being honest. In Canada, people go, oh, it's so nice to see you. And underneath all of that pleasantry is how much they dislike you. There have been so many times where I get a message, oh, we're thinking of going the other way. Or I'll have a director say, I would love for you to work on this project, but I'm having a hard time convincing the team that you're right. And it's not very often that it's straight up that it's a color thing, but it's always intimated. It's always so softly. And I feel lucky enough to even hear that information because it just confirms what I know. But a lot of people outside of our business, people who would like to even be inside of our business, always feel like they're locked out, like that you and I are the lucky ones because somehow we've been able to activate a key or, be brave enough to have that conversation. And they feel locked out because Canadians aren't brave enough to tell you that they don't want you there. And if someone doesn't tell you that they don't want you there, how can you begin to have the conversation of saying, well, if you had me here, these are the bonuses that you would have, and these are the things that might, still not work out. Instead, we end up having this weird soup of, oh, it's nice to see you, nice to see you too. And then you just go about your life and you can't even address the wrongs or the incorrect idea that's been placed upon you.
Is there something that you can suggest or demand or recommend how the CFC can take this opportunity to participate also in this radical change, but in improving our network?
I would like the CFC to practice the nepotism that's in our business, but practice it for their BIPOC members. I would love for them to be like, oh, I want them to be as lame as, oh, you're Black. I know another Black person you should know. But then I also want them to go to major heads of big production companies or whatever and goes, I have someone who's amazing. They don't have to include race or whatever. I just want them to I want them to use nepotism the way that it's been used in our business. And I mean, it goes beyond Canada when I say that. That's what I feel like. But yeah, it truly is. And I've seen it. When I first saw it happen, I was like, oh, that's really unfair. But I also know that it's like our business, you could be free for a week. And then, on Monday, you get a request to finish something by Tuesday. And so, yes, you would go to the databases, but instead you would be like, hey, Charles, I've got to finish this project by Tuesday. Do you know someone who can? And I think that happens so much in our business that a lot of people work that way. Somebody turns to somebody and goes, do you know someone who can? And it would be really nice if the CFC did that.
Say, hey, you carry the CFC alumni stamp. Then, then damn well push that.
Yes, and that's it. Like whether it goes really well or it's a failure, you've given this person a chance to practice at their craft. And that's what we need,
Yes.
Yeah. So push us, just push us for everything.